Hey, good day, folks. Welcome to another episode of Answers Life. I hope everyone's doing great today. Now, I'm going to try to get to the point as quick as I can, but before I do, I need to make a quick disclaimer here, just due to the type of subject matter that I'm going to be discussing, which for many of you is a very controversial subject matter. Now, for starters, I'm not going to be the type of individual that's going to tell you to move somewhere or to not move somewhere based on race. And secondly, if you're not a bigot, then there is absolutely zero need for you to be upset or to take offense to what I'm going to be discussing throughout this video. And I'm going to just tell you guys off the cuff. Obviously, I created this channel for anyone and everyone to come and watch and interact with. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what sex you are. I don't care how you live your life. Everyone is welcome on this channel. But this particular matter that I'm getting ready to discuss is a matter that tends to plague people who look like me, black folks, more than it does anybody else, at least within the United States. Now, I'm not saying that other groups of people don't have their issues when it comes to looking for a community to purchase some land in for homesteading, or kind of like myself, just want to live somewhere in small town rural America. I'm not saying that other groups don't go through issues. I'm just saying that here in the United States, at least, this is an issue that tends to plague the black community more than any other community. So with that being said, let's get into the discussion. So how do you find the right small town or rural town to live in when shopping around for a homestead? Or maybe you don't necessarily want a homestead, you just want to purchase a home that sits on a larger lot, such as an acre or more, because you don't have any desire to live in the city. You want to live somewhere kind of out in the country where it's quieter, it's more peaceful, and you get more bang for the buck in most cases. And also the ordinances are more lax compared to the city. For those of you that either have a green thumb, or for those of you that like to do a lot of do-it-yourself projects. How do you find the best place to live as a black person? Well, I think I'm very qualified to make this video. So, well, for starters, this is what I would do if I were you. And one more thing. I want to point out one more thing. And this issue that I'm getting ready to discuss is an issue that doesn't just happen down here in the South or in the Midwest. Because I was raised in the Midwest and I moved down here to Alabama. And I also lived in Kentucky and Tennessee at some point. But this is an issue that, unfortunately, is an issue that plagues the entire United States. I don't care what part of the country you're from. This topic is an issue for many people of the black community who are looking to live in smaller towns or in rural communities. So, for starters, if you have your eye on a piece of land, or you have your eye on a home that's located in a rural community, most rural communities nowadays will typically have some type of a dollar store, like Dollar General, a gas station, And most likely there'll be a small mom and pop restaurant that the community typically goes to and congregates at. And many of these places will also have a church. So if you're looking at some property in a smaller community slash a rural community, now I know some of you are going to be like, okay, well, if a community is of a certain race of people, if a community is predominantly a certain race of people, you're going to automatically assume the worst. And I don't believe in that. What I would suggest you to do instead is go to that particular community and interact with the people. What do I mean by interacting with the people? Do I mean going there and automatically kissing their butt? No, not at all. What I mean is go to that gas station and put some gas in your vehicle. Or if you don't need gas, going to the gas station, and I don't care if you buy something as insignificant as a pack of chewing gum. And when you get to the cash register, just create some small talk with the clerk. I'm not talking so much in a flirtatious way. I'm talking just some small talk, like maybe ask them a question about the community. Like, is a community quiet? Just even though you might know the answer to the question that you might want to ask the question anyways, and just see how that person interacts with you. Do they smile? Do they mean mug? Do they even bother to give you the time of day and talk? Are they gonna be rude to you? Are they gonna be decent? Just kind of make a mental note of their demeanor when they talk to you. And even even though you may not need to buy anything, whatever shopping center is in that community, whether it be a Dollar General or it might be a a small grocery store like down here. Many of your smaller communities have Piggly Wiggly. So go to that grocery store. Again, buy something. Again, it could be something super small like a bag of jelly beans. Or it could be something like a bottle of water. So you can go to that store, buy some water, and again, when you get to the cash register, and obviously, if this place has got self checkout, don't do the self checkout. Make sure you go to a aisle that's got a human being. And when you get to that aisle, again, create some small talk with that person. Ask them a question or two. I mean, don't hold up the line and be ignorant. Just ask them a couple of questions, just some general stuff. Just pick a topic that's super generic. Now, obviously, you're not going to want to discuss politics. You're not going to want to discuss religion. Just pick something like, I don't know, talk about the weather. Maybe talk about sports. Just something super generic that most people can relate to. And again, just see how that person answers your question. Just take mental note of that person's demeanor. Now, for those of you that might be religious, whatever church is in the area, go to that church. I mean, I don't care if let's say you're Lutheran, and the church in the area might be Catholic or Protestant. Go to that church anyways. And again, interact with the people in that church. And when you interact with the people in that church, take a mental note of how the people are. Yeah, take a mental note of how the people are. Give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, like I was saying, take a mental note on how the people in the church interact with you. Like many churches, at least the churches that I went to back when I was growing up, I mean, a lot of times there would be maybe 10 to 15 minutes to where you go around the church and you shake other people's hand and you share the peace of the Lord and all that type of stuff. So whenever that church has that, which most churches, at least the churches I've been to, had that, and I'm pretty sure they still do it. So whenever that time comes, just go around, shake people's hand, and again, take a minute to know how these people interact with you. Do they look you in the eye when you share the Lord's peace? Do these people appear to be genuine, or are they just kind of on some get the heck out of my face type of deal? I mean, again, take mental note of the demeanor of these people. Because I've been to smaller communities and lived in smaller communities that were predominantly white, and I've had no issues in those communities. People were nice, people were genuine, people were neighborly and helpful. I lived in a smaller community in Indiana before I left Indiana and came back down here to Alabama. And like I told you on that video, people there were, they were friendly, they were nice, they were very helpful. So that's why I say don't allow the race of people to deter you from moving to a particular community, which is why I'm giving you this advice. And also, if that community has a restaurant, even though you may not be the type to go to restaurants and eat, you know what? Go to that restaurant anyways. Order the most healthiest meal that that place might have. If that place doesn't have anything healthy, order a glass of tea. And maybe if they sell biscuits, order a couple of biscuits. You can order something as small and insignificant as that. And then just, again, how does the waiter or the waitress treat you? And again, if you're able to, try to create small talk with that person. And when you do, take a mental note on how they treat you. I mean, do they talk to you like you're a fellow human being? Or do they look down on you like you're less than them? Do they look you in the eye? Do they look away? Just take a mental note on their demeanor. And for those of you that have children, you're married, you have a whole family and stuff like that, before you, whoever might be in charge of all the decision making when it comes to shopping around for a home, take your whole entire family to that community. Take your whole entire family to that local church, to that local restaurant, to that local grocery store. In fact, if the town that you're looking at living in has a neighborhood park, take your entire family to that park and just see how the locals interact with you. I mean, do they look at you funny? Do they Hey, give me 1 second. Yeah, I don't know. This is dog right here. I mean, I don't think it's going to do anything, but I'm not taking no chances here. So I'm just kind of sitting. I'm just kind of on guard here with this dog. Okay, like I was saying, And this is one thing that you're going to have to get used to if you're going to live in many of your rural communities. Like I said earlier in the video, you do got certain people that purchase pets and they allow their pets to run around the community. Now, so far, none of these pets have attacked me or any of that, and that's how I'm going to keep it. That's why when I see a pet get close to me, I tend to put up my guard and just kind of, look around. In fact, over here on my shed, I got the door unlocked. That way, if I have to, for my own protection, I can just go in there real quick and just kind of barricade myself in the shed. So, anyways, uh, I'm gonna try to sit back down here. I'm trying to, I'm trying to not dox my neighbors here. But anyways, uh, what was I saying? So yeah, before you move to whatever rural community you're gonna live, rather it be you're looking to homestead, or you're like me, just wanting to live in a rural community. Take your entire family there and see how the locals interact with you and your family, because sometimes if you're by yourself, they'll treat you a certain way. But then when you're with your whole entire family, they'll treat you completely different. It could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. It depends. And for those of you that are in interracial relationships, and for those of you that are in interracial relationships, or you have interracial children, again, before you make a final decision to purchase a property in a rural community, again, take your children with you, take your significant other with you, and see how the locals are going to interact. Are they going to treat you guys like fellow human beings and talk to you like they would talk to anybody else? Or they're going to look down on you and give you that subliminal, you don't belong here, you need to get on somewhere else type of look. And another thing that would be a good idea to do is, and I know this could be hard to do sometimes in rural communities, is if your neighbor is outside, go to that person and again try to spark up a conversation, some small talk. Like maybe ask that person if they have any history or know any history about the property you're getting ready to buy. I don't care if it's a house, I don't care if it's just a plot of land. Ask that person if they know anything about that property. And when you ask them that, it's going to do two things. A, it's going to give you an idea of what kind of neighbors you're going to be living around. And B, it could also give you some knowledge of the property that you wouldn't have never got anywhere else. The realtor wouldn't have told you. It wouldn't have showed up on any MLS paperwork. It would have just been one of those type of situations to where the neighbor knew. Kind of like the video that I made the other day when I told you about that house in Muncie, Indiana. I wouldn't never know any of that stuff just based off of looking at some MLS paperwork. The realtor definitely wouldn't have told me. But since I stopped and I spoke to the neighbor was able to tell me and show me. So those are some of the things that you can accomplish if you take a moment and you speak to at least one of your neighbors. Now, if you got neighbors on both sides and you're able to talk to both of your neighbors that would be even better. Now, if you try to approach your neighbors or neighbor and they act kind of funny, like they don't really want you coming close to them, or you try to talk and they're like real short with their answers, then that's an indication that they either A, they're not that talkative, they prefer to be left alone, they just maybe they could be a super private person, or B, depending on their demeanor, and this is something that you're going to have to take a mental note on and make your own judgment call on. It could also be a indication that they really do not want you living by them. Now, I've also experienced when you go into certain rural communities and you look at properties. Now, sometimes when you're driving into the area, it's nice and quiet, it's peaceful. But then when you get up out your vehicle and you start looking around at properties, you might hear bang, bang, bang. Now, sometimes that could be an indication that you're not welcome into the area. And sometimes when that happens, sometimes if people don't want you in the area, and you'll hear bang, bang, bang noises, and that's meant to intimidate you. Now, there's also times that you might hear those noises because people are doing target practice, because maybe close by there's a plot of land with some trees where people hunt. And again, that's another situation where you're going to have to make your own determination on whether or whether not you're going to want to deal with that. And like I told you a second ago, at some point you will have animals come up on your property, whether it be wildlife such as deer, or in some cases you can even have coyotes or brown bears or black bears, depending on what region of the country that you're residing in. Or you can have dogs from the neighborhood, like I told you a second ago. So if you're not willing to deal with any of that type of stuff, then you're better off not moving to a rural community. You're better off staying in town. And another piece of advice I can think of is, and unless you have unless you're working remotely, and I mentioned this before on previous videos, if you're looking for a rural community to reside in, it's gonna be a good idea to look around for a community that's within an hour of a major city. So yeah, if you're working a 9 to 5 storefront type of job, you're gonna want to stay within an hour of a major city. And another thing is, now if you're one of those, now I guess here's one more piece of information I can give you guys. Now, there's some of you out here that you may not feel comfortable living in a rural community unless you know that that community is integrated, like heavily integrated. Some of you that look like me, you may not feel comfortable living in a rural community that's predominantly a certain race of people. And for those of you that feel like that, my best advice that I can give you is, I'm going to give you a few different places within the country where you can move to where the ethnicity of people will most likely look like this. Well, look like me. I think you all get what I'm saying. Now, I know there's a lot of you that are looking to homestead, you're looking to live in a rural community, but you're not necessarily looking to live in the South, especially the deep South, because maybe it might be too hot down here, it might be too humid down here, whatever reason you might have. However, if you're looking to live in a rural community the to where the population is more integrated, or is predominantly African American, your best bet is going to be to live in the deep South. And here are some of the places where you can look around for property if I'm describing you. Now, when it comes to Alabama, the state where I reside in, you're going to want to check out central to southern Alabama. When it comes to Mississippi, I would say most of Mississippi, you can check that out. And when it comes to Georgia, a lot like Alabama, you're going to want to check out central to south Georgia. And when it comes to Tennessee, you're going to want to check out southwest Tennessee. When it comes to Arkansas, I would say off the top of my head, you're going to want to check out central to southern Arkansas. Now, I don't know a whole lot about Texas, so I can't really speak on Texas. And when it comes to Florida, there's some major changes going on in Florida. I can't really speak on Florida. Many of you that are looking to homestead, you don't want to live in Florida no way because it's so freaking unaffordable. And homeowners insurance is ridiculous down there. And of course, there's rural communities throughout North and South Carolina. I can't tell you exactly where they're at because I don't know enough about those two states. But there's rural communities in North and South Carolina that you can check out as well if you're looking to live somewhere to where it's heavily integrated to predominantly African American. So hopefully this video helped a bunch of you out that are out here, you know, as a black person, or you're out here in an interracial relationship, or you have biracial children and you're looking to leave the city and live somewhere in a rural community or in a small town, you're looking to start a homestead or whatever the case might be. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If you like what I do here, give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't done so, subscribe to the channel. And stay blessed. And good luck on your property search or your home search or whatever the case. I'll catch you all in the next one.